What if the power to prevent cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and Alzheimer's was already sitting in your kitchen? What if your body has 5 defense systems working right now to protect you? And the foods you eat tomorrow could either strengthen or weaken them. Dr. William Li, a Harvard-trained physician who pioneered the field of angiogenesis research, spent decades studying how the body heals itself. His TED Talk on starving cancer with food has been viewed over 11 million times. His book, Eat to Beat Disease, reveals something radical. We have been thinking about health backwards. This is not about avoiding disease. This is about activating the natural healing systems your body already possesses. The hidden defense systems protecting you right now. Your body has 5 defense systems operating every single moment, protecting you from threats you cannot see. Angiogenesis controls blood vessel growth. Regeneration uses stem cells to repair damaged tissues. Your microbiome contains trillions of bacteria that regulate immunity and produce hormones. DNA protection shields your genetic code from damage caused by radiation, chemicals, and stress. Your immune system identifies and destroys threats, including cancer cells. These 5 systems work together in an elaborate symphony. When they function properly, you stay healthy. When they fail, disease takes hold. The revolutionary insight from Dr. Li is this: food directly influences every single one of these defense systems. What you eat sends signals to your body about whether to build health or allow disease. A woman named Alina discovered a lump in her breast at age 52. Her mother had died from breast cancer at 48. Alina felt terrified, certain she would follow the same path. Autopsy studies show that 40% of women in their 40s and 50s have microscopic cancers in their breasts. About 50% of men in their 50s and 60s have microscopic cancers in their prostates. Virtually 100% of people in their 70s have microscopic cancers in their thyroids. Yet most of these cancers never become dangerous. They remain dormant, tiny clusters of abnormal cells that never grow large enough to cause harm. The difference between harmless and harmful cancer comes down to one thing: angiogenesis. Without a blood supply, microscopic cancers cannot grow. Alina learned this and completely transformed her diet to starve any potential cancer cells of the blood supply they needed. Her follow-up scans showed the lump had not grown. It remained stable year after year. Angiogenesis and the foods that control blood vessels. Angiogenesis is the process your body uses to grow new blood vessels. In a typical adult, blood vessels stretch 60,000 miles end to end. That is enough to circle the earth twice. Your body has an elaborate system of checks and balances that stimulates or inhibits blood vessel growth depending on need. When you get a cut, angiogenesis helps heal the wound by growing new vessels to deliver oxygen and nutrients. During pregnancy, angiogenesis creates the blood supply for the developing baby. In normal circumstances, angiogenesis is tightly controlled. But when this system becomes imbalanced, disease occurs. Too many blood vessels can feed cancer tumors, cause blindness from abnormal vessels in the eyes, or worsen conditions like psoriasis and endometriosis. Too few blood vessels lead to wounds that will not heal, hair loss, erectile dysfunction, and poor circulation. Cancer cells are clever manipulators of angiogenesis. When a microscopic cancer wants to grow beyond a millimeter in size, it cannot survive without its own blood supply. So it sends chemical signals that hijack the normal angiogenesis process, recruiting new blood vessels to bring oxygen and nutrients. This is the tipping point where a harmless microscopic cancer becomes a dangerous tumor. Dr. Li realized that if you could prevent abnormal angiogenesis, you could keep cancers microscopic and harmless forever. The pharmaceutical industry developed anti-angiogenic drugs that block blood vessel growth to tumors. These drugs help patients with advanced cancer. But Dr. Li asked a different question. Could we use food to prevent abnormal angiogenesis before cancer ever becomes dangerous? His research team tested hundreds of foods for their ability to inhibit angiogenesis. The results were stunning. Berries inhibited abnormal blood vessel growth by over 60%. Red grapes containing resveratrol showed similar effects. Soybeans, green tea, dark chocolate, tomatoes cooked in olive oil, garlic, parsley, and dozens of other common foods demonstrated powerful anti-angiogenic properties. Even more remarkably, when foods were combined, their potency multiplied. This phenomenon, called food synergy, means eating a variety of healthy foods is far more effective than consuming large amounts of a single healthy food. A man named Marcus had a family history of prostate cancer. His father, grandfather, and uncle all died from the disease. Genetic testing showed Marcus carried mutations that increased his risk. Instead of living in fear, Marcus began eating anti-angiogenic foods daily, blueberries in his breakfast, green tea throughout the day, tomatoes cooked in olive oil for dinner, dark chocolate as an evening treat. Annual screenings showed no sign of cancer. His doctor marveled at how someone with such high genetic risk remained disease-free year after year. Marcus was using food to keep any microscopic cancer cells starved of the blood supply they needed to become dangerous. Regeneration through stem cells and the foods that boost them. Your body contains stem cells that maintain, repair, and regenerate every organ. These are not embryonic stem cells from a laboratory. These are your own adult stem cells residing in your bone marrow, circulating in your blood, and living in organs throughout your body. Stem cells can transform into whatever cell type is needed. Skin cells to heal a cut. Heart muscle cells to repair damage from a heart attack, nerve cells to restore function after a stroke, or bone cells to mend a fracture. As you age, the number and activity of your stem cells decline. This is one reason why healing slows and diseases accumulate with age. But research shows that certain foods can boost your stem cell activity, enhancing your body's natural regeneration capacity. Dr. Arnold Kaplan from Case Western Reserve University pioneered stem cell research and demonstrated that our bodies constantly use stem cells for repair and maintenance. His work shows that anything that increases stem cell mobilization or protects existing stem cells improves healing and health span. Hot cocoa made from dark chocolate has been shown to double the number of circulating stem cells in the bloodstream. The flavonols in cocoa signal bone marrow to release more stem cells into circulation, where they can travel to damaged areas and begin repair work. Beer consumed in moderation contains silicon that strengthens bones by supporting stem cells. Purple potatoes contain anthocyanins that protect stem cells from oxidative damage. Omega-3 fatty acids from fish and flax seeds enhance stem cell function and prevent inflammation that can damage these precious cells. A man named David suffered a heart attack at age 58. The damage left him with reduced heart function and constant fatigue. His cardiologist told him the damage was permanent. That heart muscle does not regenerate. But David learned about stem cell research and began eating foods that boost stem cell activity. Dark chocolate every morning, fatty fish 3 times weekly, purple vegetables daily, and moderate amounts of beer with dinner. Within 6 months, his follow-up echocardiogram shocked his cardiologist. His heart function had improved measurably. The ejection fraction, which measures how much blood the heart pumps with each beat, had increased from 35% to 48%. His cardiologist had no explanation. David knew his stem cells had been mobilized by the foods he was eating, traveling to his damaged heart and slowly regenerating muscle tissue that doctors thought was beyond repair. The microbiome and gut bacteria that control immunity. Your gut contains approximately 39 trillion bacteria, outnumbering your human cells. These microorganisms are not invaders. They are essential partners in your health. Your gut bacteria produce vitamins, break down food into nutrients your body can absorb, train your immune system, produce neurotransmitters that affect mood and cognition, and even influence angiogenesis throughout your body. When your microbiome is balanced with diverse beneficial bacteria, you enjoy robust health. When harmful bacteria dominate, chronic inflammation develops, immunity weakens, and disease risk skyrockets. Dr. Lee emphasizes that your microbiome is not fixed. It changes constantly based on what you eat, your stress levels, medications you take, and your environment. Dr. Justin Sonnenberg from Stanford University has studied the microbiome for decades. His research demonstrates that dietary fiber is the most important food for beneficial gut bacteria. When you eat fiber-rich plant foods, bacteria ferment the fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. These compounds reduce inflammation, strengthen the gut barrier, enhance immunity, and even protect against cancer. His studies show that people eating traditional high-fiber diets have microbiomes with far greater diversity than people eating modern processed diets. This diversity correlates directly with better health outcomes across virtually every disease category. Fermented foods introduce beneficial bacteria directly. Cheese, yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, and wine all contain living cultures that can colonize your gut and crowd out harmful species. A woman named Lisa suffered from chronic autoimmune issues. Her rheumatologist tested her for lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and other conditions but could not find a clear diagnosis. She felt exhausted constantly. Her joints ached, and she had unexplained rashes. Blood tests showed high levels of inflammatory markers. Her doctors prescribed immunosuppressive drugs, but Lisa wanted to try a different approach first. She learned about the microbiome and began eating fermented vegetables daily, eliminated processed foods entirely, and increased her fiber intake through beans, whole grains, and vegetables. Within 2 months, her inflammatory markers dropped by half. Within 6 months, her symptoms had disappeared completely. Her rheumatologist was baffled, asking what medications she had been taking. When Lisa explained she had changed her diet, the doctor was skeptical but could not argue with the blood tests showing normal inflammation levels. Lisa had transformed her microbiome, and her microbiome had transformed her immune system. DNA protection and foods that shield your genetic code. Your DNA is under constant attack. Ultraviolet radiation from sunlight, chemicals in the environment, free radicals generated during normal metabolism, chronic stress, and poor sleep all damage DNA. Your cells have sophisticated repair mechanisms that fix most of this damage automatically. DNA polymerase enzymes patrol your chromosomes, detecting errors and making corrections. But when damage overwhelms your repair capacity, mutations accumulate. These mutations can turn off tumor suppressor genes or activate oncogenes, initiating the cancer process. The good news is that certain foods contain compounds that enhance DNA repair and protect against damage in the first place. Dr. Bruce Ames from the University of California, Berkeley, has spent his career studying DNA damage and repair. His research shows that micronutrient deficiencies impair DNA repair, while adequate intake of vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients enhances it. Broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables contain sulforaphane, a compound that activates genes involved in detoxification and DNA repair. Green tea contains epigallocatechin gallate, which protects DNA from oxidative damage and enhances repair mechanisms. Tomatoes provide lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that shields DNA from free radical damage. When tomatoes are cooked in olive oil, lycopene absorption increases threefold, making pasta sauce with olive oil one of the most DNA-protective meals you can eat. A man named Thomas worked as a roofer for 30 years, spending 8 hours daily in direct sunlight. At age 62, he was diagnosed with multiple skin cancers requiring surgical removal. His dermatologist warned him that he would likely continue developing new cancers given his history of sun exposure and accumulated DNA damage in skin cells. Thomas felt defeated, wondering if he was doomed to endless biopsies and surgeries. Then he learned about foods that protect DNA. He began eating broccoli sprouts daily, which contain concentrated sulforaphane. He drank green tea throughout the day. He ate tomato-based dishes with olive oil several times weekly. He added berries to his breakfast for their anthocyanins and vitamin C. His next annual skin check found no new cancers. The following year, still nothing. His dermatologist could not explain why someone with such extensive sun damage stopped developing new skin cancers. Thomas knew his DNA repair systems were working overtime, supported by the protective compounds in the foods he now ate daily. Immunity and the foods that strengthen your defenses. Your immune system is your body's military, constantly patrolling for threats. T cells identify and destroy virus-infected cells and cancer cells. B cells produce antibodies that neutralize invaders. Natural killer cells provide first-line defense against tumors and infections. Macrophages engulf and digest cellular debris and pathogens. When your immune system is strong, you fight off infections easily, recover from injuries quickly, and keep cancer cells in check. When immunity weakens, you become vulnerable to every threat. Dr. Lee explains that your gut health directly impacts your immunity. Approximately 70% of your immune system resides in and around your digestive tract. The bacteria in your gut train immune cells, teaching them to distinguish friend from foe. When your microbiome is balanced, your immunity functions optimally. Dr. Heather Zwicky from the National University of Natural Medicine has researched the gut-immune connection extensively. Her studies show that specific foods modulate immune function in powerful ways. Mushrooms contain beta-glucans that activate natural killer cells and macrophages. Garlic contains allicin, which enhances immune cell activity and has direct antimicrobial properties. Citrus fruits provide vitamin C, which is essential for white blood cell function. Zinc from pumpkin seeds, oysters, and beans supports T cell development and function. Vitamin D, obtained from fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified foods, regulates immune responses and reduces excessive inflammation. A woman named Susan had suffered from recurrent respiratory infections for years. Every few months, she would develop bronchitis or sinusitis, requiring antibiotics. The infections left her exhausted and unable to work for weeks at a time. Her immunologist ran extensive tests but found no immune deficiency syndrome. Susan was told she simply had bad luck and should expect to continue getting sick frequently. Frustrated, Susan researched natural immunity boosters and transformed her diet. She ate mushrooms several times weekly, added garlic to most meals, consumed citrus fruits daily, and took vitamin D supplements through the dark winter months. She also improved her gut health through fermented foods and fiber. That year, she did not get a single respiratory infection. The following year, she experienced one mild cold that resolved in days without antibiotics. Her immunologist was surprised but pleased, noting that sometimes dietary changes produce results that medicine cannot explain. Susan knew her immune system had been strengthened by the foods she was feeding it. The 5x5x5 framework for lifelong health. Dr. Lee proposes a simple yet powerful strategy for incorporating healing foods into your life. Choose 5 foods and eat them 5 times a day to fortify your 5 defense systems. This is not about restriction or deprivation. This is about abundance and inclusion. You do not need to eliminate your favorite foods or follow a rigid diet plan. You simply need to ensure you are regularly consuming foods that support your body's natural defenses. The framework is flexible and personalized. You choose the 5 foods based on your taste preferences, health goals, and what is available to you. You might choose blueberries, dark chocolate, green tea, tomatoes, and broccoli. Or you could select salmon, walnuts, yogurt, apples, and kale. The key is variety and consistency. Dr. David Katz from Yale University, founding director of the Yale Griffin Prevention Research Center, has studied dietary patterns and health outcomes for decades. His research confirms that no single diet is best for everyone, but all healthy dietary patterns share common features. They emphasize whole plant foods include healthy fats, minimize processed foods and added sugars, and provide adequate but not excessive protein. The 5x5x5 framework aligns with these principles while giving individuals freedom to customize their approach. Dr. Katz notes that sustainable dietary changes require flexibility and pleasure. If you enjoy what you eat, you will stick with it. If you feel deprived, you will eventually revert to old patterns. A couple named Robert and Maria decided to implement the 5x5x5 framework together. Robert had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol. Maria had been experiencing cognitive decline and memory issues that frightened her. They chose their 5 daily foods: blueberries at breakfast, walnuts as a snack, salmon twice weekly with other fatty fish on other days, spinach salads with lunch, and dark chocolate with almonds in the evening. They made sure each food appeared in their meals 5 times throughout the day in various combinations. Robert added green tea as his beverage of choice, giving him 6 healing foods daily. Within 3 months, Robert's hemoglobin A1C dropped from 7.8 to 6.2, moving him out of the diabetic range into pre-diabetic territory. His cholesterol numbers improved without medication changes. Maria noticed her memory sharpening, her mental fog lifting, and her energy returning. Their doctors were impressed by the measurable improvements in blood markers and cognitive testing. Robert and Maria had discovered that healing does not require perfection. It requires consistency with foods that activate the body's defense systems. The science of food synergy and why variety matters. One of the most important insights from Dr. Lee's research is that foods work better together than in isolation. A tomato contains multiple beneficial compounds: lycopene, vitamin C, potassium, and various polyphenols. When you eat that tomato with olive oil, the lycopene absorption increases dramatically. When you add garlic and onions, you get additional sulfur compounds that enhance detoxification. When you pair it with broccoli in the same meal, you get sulforaphane that activates DNA repair genes. This is food synergy in action. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Combinations of healing foods create multiplicative effects that individual foods cannot achieve alone. Dr. John Pezzuto from Western New England University has studied food synergy extensively, particularly in the context of cancer prevention. His research demonstrates that phytochemicals from different plant foods interact in complex ways that amplify their protective effects. Resveratrol from red grapes works synergistically with catechins from green tea. Anthocyanins from berries enhance the effects of vitamin C from citrus. Curcumin from turmeric becomes more bioavailable when consumed with black pepper. His studies show that people who eat the widest variety of plant foods have the lowest rates of chronic disease, even when total amounts consumed are similar to people eating fewer varieties. A man named Peter had been eating a healthy diet for years, but focused mainly on the same few foods: chicken breast, brown rice, and steamed broccoli. He wondered why his health markers were not improving despite his discipline. When he learned about food synergy, he completely changed his approach. Instead of eating the same foods repeatedly, he began eating 30 different plant foods per week: various berries, different colored vegetables, multiple types of nuts and seeds, diverse whole grains, and an array of herbs and spices. He continued eating fish and some chicken, but made plants the foundation. Within weeks, he felt different. His energy increased, his digestion improved, his mood stabilized. When he had blood work done 6 months later, his doctor could not believe the transformation. Inflammation markers had dropped dramatically. His cholesterol ratios had improved. Even his testosterone levels had increased despite his age. Peter had unlocked the power of variety and synergy, moving beyond fear and embracing food as medicine. For too long, conversations about health and food have been dominated by fear. Do not eat this. Avoid that. Cut out sugar. Eliminate carbs. Restrict calories. This negative framing creates anxiety and deprivation mentality that rarely leads to lasting change. Dr. Lee offers a fundamentally different approach rooted in abundance and empowerment. Instead of focusing on what to remove, focus on what to add. Instead of thinking about disease to avoid, think about health to build. Instead of feeling helpless in the face of genetic risk, recognize that your daily choices profoundly influence how your genes express themselves. Dr. Dean Ornish from the University of California, San Francisco. conducted landmark research showing that comprehensive lifestyle changes can reverse even advanced heart disease and favorably altered gene expression. His studies demonstrate that genes are not destiny. While you cannot change the genes you inherited, you can change how those genes behave through your lifestyle choices. Eating anti-angiogenic foods, for example, does not change your genetic code, but it changes which genes are activated and which remain dormant. It shifts gene expression toward health and away from disease. This is the new frontier of medicine, understanding that we have far more control over our health outcomes than we ever realized. A woman named Grace watched her mother die from Alzheimer's disease at age 68. Genetic testing revealed Grace carried the APOE4 gene variant, which dramatically increases Alzheimer's risk. Her doctor told her there was nothing she could do except hope for the best and consider medications if symptoms developed. Grace felt hopeless, watching her 3 young children and wondering if she would forget their names one day. Then she discovered Dr. Lee's work and realized she was not helpless. She could not change her genes, but she could change how those genes expressed themselves. She began eating berries daily for their brain-protective anthocyanins. She consumed fatty fish rich in omega-3 south 3 times weekly. She drank green tea, used turmeric in cooking, and ate dark chocolate. She ensured her microbiome was healthy through fermented foods and fiber. She exercised regularly, managed stress, and prioritized sleep. Now at age 62, Grace shows no signs of cognitive decline. Her memory is sharp, her thinking is clear, and she is watching her grandchildren grow while her siblings, who carry the same genetic variant, are showing early dementia symptoms. Grace proves that genes load the gun, but lifestyle pulls the trigger. Taking action today for health tomorrow. The evidence is overwhelming. Your body has 5 defense systems that can protect you from cancer, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and countless other diseases. These systems respond to the foods you eat every single day. You do not need to wait for disease to strike before taking action. You do not need expensive supplements or complicated protocols. You need to eat more of the 200+ foods that science has shown activate your natural defenses. Start with 5 foods today. Eat them 5 times throughout the day. Do this consistently, and you fortify all 5 defense systems. This is not about perfection. This is about progress. This is not about deprivation. This is about nourishment. This is not about living in fear. This is about living with confidence that you are giving your body what it needs to heal itself. Dr. Walter Willett from the Harvard School of Public Health has tracked diet and health outcomes in hundreds of thousands of people for decades. His research provides unequivocal evidence that dietary patterns profoundly impact disease risk and longevity. People who eat diets rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, nuts, fish, and healthy fats while limiting processed foods, red meat, and added sugars live longer and experience far less chronic disease. The difference is not small. It is dramatic, measurable, and reproducible across populations worldwide. The power is in your hands. The choice is yours. Every meal is an opportunity to activate your healing systems or allow them to weaken. What will you choose? Thank you for watching this summary of Eat to Beat Disease by Dr. William Li. If this information empowered you to take control of your health through food, please subscribe to our channel for more evidence-based book summaries that transform lives. Visit our channel for the complete, detailed breakdown of this revolutionary book and discover other life-changing health books that could add years to your life. Your 5 defense systems are waiting for you to feed them properly. Start today.